All right, welcome back to the stream. I did some crafting between Pokemon Wild episodes just because I wanted to make sure that for our battle against Regirock we would have enough Pokeballs. So I have 100 Ultra Balls. I'm gonna go in there with Registeel. Breloom is going to, being both grass fighting, is probably going to be my carry here. Going to paralyze it. Hopefully one and done. Real quick, real fast, real nice. Hey Luigi Vania, welcome back. I think I'm also going to use some of this time with Regirock to just XP farm. Make sure that my team is ready for when I finally go up against Regigigas. I love all the Titan sounds so much. And I'm also aware, I don't think they're called siblings in any of the games or the show, but it's how I like to view them as their interrelatedness. Here we go. Okay, well I can't do that twice. That'll kill it. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Okay. I think I have a good approach. Now we're just gonna grind a bit. I've been watching a lot of Alone, just a TV show. It's to call it like reality TV. I mean, it's not. It's like it's 10 contestants. They're all dropped off in like the middle of nowhere, and it's whoever can survive the longest. And they're allowed to bring like some basic kits. It's their choice, so they can go with like a fire starting kit, some wire, some tarp, a change of clothes, obviously, and then they have an emergency phone. And there's people that are like there's a base camp for people to like pick them up, and they do like medical evaluations periodically to make sure that no one is actually in any danger, but it is just a survival competition, and it's super interesting. I've only watched one season. There's 8 seasons. I've watched season 8, but I'm about to go back and I'm gonna watch the earlier seasons and see what that's all about. But it's just fascinating. It's fascinating seeing both how hard it is, but then also seeing how long people can go without food. The one that we watched was they were all around the same lake, and they actually like boated them out, dropped them off on the shore. And they have like zones that they need to stay in. It's not like they can go like meet up with people or travel too far away. But yeah, they're like, all of them brought wire, all of them attempted fishing in some format. And among the 10 people who were all there competing, there were probably like a grand total of, there were less than 10 fish caught among all of them. And so you just watch it and you're like, there was a guy who made it, I want to say like 50 days, and his food was like wild onions, and I think he got 1 fish. And it's amazing because his strategy for the game, when he found out he was going to be on it, was actually just to store fat. He just like ate a ton for like the months leading up to the actual challenge. And because of that, he was able to go way longer than I feel like he would have otherwise, because his actual in-game like survival strategy was not as competitive as other players, but he didn't have to like push as hard for it. At the end of the day, like, he was getting real desperate. He couldn't catch a fish. They was starting to freeze overnight. So he like shaved bark off a tree and boiled it and drank that for nutrients. And like it's funny because they little like subtitles will come up, like, well, not subtitles, but like little title cards will come up and give some additional information about like what they're doing, and they'll always give like the nutritional value. And it's one of those things where he's like, all right, like, I'm at that point in the game, I'm gonna boil some bark for nutrition. And then like a little disclaimer like thing came up, and it was basically like, this provides minimal nourishment. It wasn't that. It was like very specific on like the benefits of it, but it also clarified that there's not a lot of benefits. Because he was doing that, and I was like, why doesn't like, if you could actually get like anything nourishing out of bark, why isn't everyone just drinking that in this game? It's available everywhere. But that's why, because it wasn't actually that helpful. But it was crazy. The battle audio just cut out. Okay, it's back. It was crazy because this isn't like too big of a spoiler. This is like, I want to say in the first like 4 episodes. And like there was a guy who, like, all of them had some hunting capacity and they all had bows. But this one guy actually shot a deer, and he used every part of that deer. He skinned it, he smoked the meat, he had his rationed out deer meat, and he took the hide, he tanned the hide and made a chair out of the deer hide, and he tanned it by breaking open the deer's skull and cooking its brain and using its brain as like the tanning agents for this hide. And then he like tied some string around it and stretched it out. It was just absolutely wild. Hey Haffian, why people not interested with this game? I think it's a matter of time. I genuinely do, right? And I think that it's in a pretty good spot personally, because if this game was to get too big, I think Nintendo would shut it down. So I actually kind of like it existing in this niche, sort of like you're right in that it's not as well known, but I sort of appreciate that because it continues to go through development and it continues to get a lot of work put into it. But like I said at the beginning, I think it's a matter of time. I think that this game is just so much fun that eventually it is going to explode. And honestly, maybe when multiplayer comes out, or maybe when version 1 comes out, the official polished version, maybe that will be like what kicks it off. Because I could see a lot of people have done, a lot of bigger YouTubers have made things for this game, made videos for this, and they've played through it, but they've all sort of moved on at this point. And maybe multiplayer is what pulls them back. Maybe people could find some fun formats to get some more interaction and legs on this game. But I'm not too worried. I like it as it is, and I think that it's only going to continue to grow. So it's funny because I finished watching Alone, and I was like, okay, that was really good. That was really fascinating. And it didn't, like, it's just the people film themselves. They just have like a GoPro chest mount and like some other GoPros on mini tripods that they can place around camp, and they just like talk to the camera. So it really is like just people in the middle of nowhere, all on their own. But I was like, what other thing could be like this? and so I picked up Survivor, and I started watching Survivor, and it's not the same. which like I remember when Survivor first came out, and at least in my small child brain, it was a huge deal. I felt like everyone was talking about it. Again, everyone being like my family at dinner and like my cousins. But again, like kid watching Survivor with his family, it's a big deal. And so I was like, okay, like I know that they have to like make their own camp in between like their various competitions that they do. Like, let's see what it's like. I watched Survivor season 39, which is marked as like as season 40 on Netflix. I don't know why there's that difference in numbering, but it's the Davids versus Goliaths season, and it was trash at the start, because for like the first 3 or 4 episodes, no one really had any like strategy. They didn't know who they were playing against. They didn't know who were threats. They didn't have any alliances formed. So they, like, the first couple episodes unfortunately didn't focus on the important things like them building their camps, which they did, and it got some attention, but the attention that it gave it was like, oh, such and such isn't helping out as much as I would like. Like these, like, it was more about like the like personal conflict where it's like, oh gosh, I don't like living with this person. And it was not about the survival aspect at all, which like part of me gets the impression that they didn't, I don't know. I don't like, that's the problem, is you don't know with these much more like highly curated, well, I shouldn't say highly edited, like group productions, you don't really know what they're doing off camera. And you know that there's a lot of like behind the scenes production getting pushed around, where it's like, oh, that's convenient that everyone just like pairs off or groups up and chats about their alliances or not. And like it's almost like they all know that they need to like, okay, now we pair up and go walk off with a camera and talk about our strategy. And it was really dumb because in the first episode, they ran on both teams. They split the group into 2 teams. Oh, I don't know if I want to give Registeel any more. That's the perfect hit. I don't know if I want Registeel to go up any more levels. Now, we're going to switch to Breloom. But so you don't actually get to see like, well, what are they actually doing to eat on a daily basis? And it's because they're given rice. They're rationed rice that they get to eat as a baseline. If they do nothing, they can still eat rice every single day, which like sucks, but also rice is bomb. And so it's like, I remember they got fishing gear and then someone caught a fish and it was like a big deal. It was a tiny fish, but they're all like super excited about it because now they could have fish with their rice. Breloom, your turn. And so it definitely wasn't about the surviving aspect at all. It was all a social game. And like, if you guys have played Mafia, or if you guys have played One Night Ultimate Werewolf, or you know, whatever social engineering game, you know, like Among Us, then you know that at the start of the game, you have really nothing to do. Okay, we got Mega Drain and Seed Bomb. Let's see what Mega Drain does. Breloom is actually I think my most important Pokemon going into Regigigas because Breloom's fighting. And Breloom will be able to paralyze. So that's all obviously also very nice. Okay, Seed Bomb and Mega Drain basically did the same thing. Breloom, you need to hit harder. Alright, we'll work on that. But yeah, at the start of the game, you have nothing to really go on. And that's why I was like, this is boring. And I'm frustrated by the fact that they're introducing like these like romance angles with characters, well, of players, I should say, where it's like, okay, you guys literally just met. You know each other. You've known each other for a grand total of like 4 hours at this point, and you're already like they're playing sappy music and they're cutting to these one-on-one interviews where they're like, oh, he's so nice. Oh, she's so cute. And you're just like, this is so obviously fake. These like, like I wouldn't be surprised if people were like on one hand it's like, okay, maybe it's some strategy in Survivor where you're going to sort of like flirt as a self-defense mechanism. I remember in one of the really early seasons of Survivor that I watched when I was really young, that there was actually a couple that like they met on the show. They were the final two and they didn't care about who won because they were going to split the money. And then he proposed in the finale. And so it's on one hand, maybe it's this sort of like it's this angling for like weird alliance stuff. On the other hand, maybe it's just the producers want something like that to happen because it's the audience gets more invested that way. Either way, day one, you're running like two different storylines about two different couples like flirting with each other on the island, and you're like, in what world is this? Is this like, is this reality that you're just like, you're in a game show about backstabbing each other? So anyways, regardless of if it was like social engineering on the side of the player or if it was like sort of like a producer wink wink nudge nudge like, hey, play it up for the camera, regardless, it was dumb. But now that I've bagged on Survivor enough, holy crap, was it amazing in the second half of the season. It got really good, and all it needed to do to get there was time. It just needed players to establish alliances and for there to be like social maneuvering going on where people would like, it was fascinating to watch because you'd always see people would assess someone and say like, okay, this person's a threat and here's why, and then they'd organize like a coalition, like, this guy's really good at this game, like, we need to get him out early while we can. And it's this back and forth where like inevitably when people would push hard to get someone voted out, they would expend a lot of like their influence, and people wouldn't like how hard they would be pushing, and so then their names would be on the chopping block. So by the time you get to the end of the game, you have a lot of people who have sort of like, they've sort of like always been involved in the action but never leading it. And it's absolutely amazing to see, because you get into these scenarios where players are where players are suddenly put in positions where they do have to backstab prior alliances, and it's not even like directly. It's not like, oh, like I'm buddy with you and I'm gonna vote against you. It's definitely it's more what it is. More is like, oh, I have one foot in each coalition, and now they're going against each other, and if I like, people will remember my vote and the party line that I voted on, and that will lose trust with my coalitions. So it becomes this really fascinating back and forth. And it's so funny because at the start I was like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. And then after a couple episodes I was like, okay, they've gotten rid of the annoying people, which that's a bonus. And they've also sort of figured their crap out. And they have like knowledge of how people play the game and who's a threat and who isn't, and how you need to work with different people to get the votes that you want. And suddenly you're just like, this is amazing. Like the angles that people are working and how they're voting, it is so fascinating. Man, I don't even have a fighting type move. I hope I learn one soon. The funny thing is, I watch Survivor and I think, like, there's no way I could do this, but I wouldn't be interested in it. No part of me wants to, like, try and pull strings and build alliances and turn votes. Like, that sounds way too unnecessary. But I watch alone and I think, like, what would I do? Because so I was in Boy Scouts growing up. Well, now it's called Scouts. I think they dropped the. Anyways, and I got the Wilderness Survival Merit Badge. And part of doing that is like sleeping outside without a tent. And you essentially have to it's like build a shelter and sleep uncomfortably. Like, and that's basically it. But it's funny because my scout troop would go to scout camps every year, where they'd have counselors who'd walk you through a lot of the different merit badges, especially the ones like this, where it's like, I live in suburbia. I'm not gonna just like cut some branches off a tree in my neighborhood and sleep under it. This was a merit badge that you had to do actually at a campsite. And I guess the other problem is I grew up in a desert, so it wasn't like there was, when you went out into the Nevada desert, that there was a lot of stuff. Oh my gosh. Wait a second. I wasn't paying attention. What move am I learning here? Just a second. I need to look at it. All right. Trying to learn dynamic punch. Here we go. I just went back and looked, and it's dynamic punch. So I definitely have to keep stun spore, because that's what I use for catching things. I think I'm gonna drop headbutt because realistically, I don't like, it's a normal type move. It's not gonna help out. It's not gonna help out my Breloom in any battle. So sweet. Okay, well, let's put that to use. Let's see how good it does. But yeah, it's funny. So I got the Wilderness Survival Merit Badge, and we went to a scout camp that was in like a forest. And the and like half the scout troop did it then. Boy, is there any update for this game? There is a currently version 0.8.4, which I'm not playing on, got released. And it is all minor fixes to make the game run better. It does not change anything about like the overworld or encounters. So, and it's also not something you'll find on Discord. You actually have to go to where did you share? I mean, you can find the link on Discord. People are talking about it there. So actually, ignore that. You can probably get to it on Discord if you want to look it up. But there is a version 0.8.4. But again, it doesn't change any of like the gameplay elements from my understanding. Now that I got Dynamic Punch, this is going to be so much better. Oh, and it's confused. Sweet. Nice. Nice. Yeah, so half of my scout troop decided to do the wilderness survival in the forest, and I didn't get the memo for it. So they all like I built my schedule to be like I had a different schedule for what merit badges I was working on. And so like 3 or 4 of the other guys took some tree branches, made like this makeshift cover, laid a tarp out, slept on it, and it was miserable. From what I understand, obviously I didn't do it. I just slept in a tent next to them. But they hated it. And then the next year we go to scout camp, and I'm like, okay, I've got my required merit badges out of the way. Now I need to do this one. And again, I have to do it at a scout camp. Our scout camp was in San Diego. It was on the beach. It was actually across the bay from SeaWorld. Wow, he got confused and snapped out of it all in one turn. And you could they actually did night kayaks like across the bay to watch the San Diego fireworks every night. You didn't even have to like, if you kayaked out, because they launch them from the bay. There's a big pad out in the water that they shoot the fireworks off of. And so you'd get pretty close, obviously not next to it, but you could like, you'd be closer, but you could still see it every night just from camp. But anyways, that's irrelevant. I'm doing wilderness survival on the beach, right? There's nothing on the beach. In what world am I going to build a sand castle and sleep in the sand castle? Like there's no shelter here. Okay. So what they did at this campsite for this merit badge was they simulated a like shipwreck scenario, and I'm doing air quotes with my hands for it, where you threw like your sleeping gear onto a inflatable life raft, you swam out into the bay, and like it was on like a sort of peninsula sort of thing, the camp. And then when you got far enough away from the shore, the instructor undid took the cap off of the lifeboat. It was an inflatable lifeboat, so it started deflating and was like, okay, like you guys need to swim around like the peninsula. We're gonna camp on the other side away from everyone else. and it was genuinely like you're tugging a half inflated lifeboat swimming around, and we were out in the water for probably like 20 to 25 minutes just swimming. And then you pull it up to the beach, and they're just like, okay, so like parts of the boat have washed ashore, and you just had like oars and like sails and like rope just like on the beach. And it was unfortunately that made it way too easy. It didn't feel like a real nature survival scenario when it was basically entirely simulated. And I had my sleeping bag with me that I, had in my half inflated lifeboat that I swam around the bay in. And so it really was just like, we use oars as shovels, we dig our own trenches, and then we just like bury an oar sticking up and like run tarp over it. And it was a tent. And the only real, like, unfortunate part of that setup was just that we were sleeping on sand, which compared to like a forest floor where you're just sleeping on packed dirt, rocks, and roots, I will take sand every single time. and then I wasn't the only one from my scout troop who did it. So me and my buddy just like sat there and listened to the counselor and the other kid who signed up, who, I mean, I guess everyone, like people from all over go to California, but they were like from the Midwest, and they sat there talking about their tractors for the whole night. And there you go. That is me surviving in the wild. I did it. I built a fort with my bare hands. I slept on the ground. Whoa, I missed. Good to know. Good to know I can't always rely on dynamic punch. I'd rather heal up. Let's just hope that you don't hit me. Yeah, that's what I wanted you to do. But yeah, you watch Alone and you realize, like, the first thing you need to do is build a shelter. Because like your body is at its best at the start of a survival scenario, and you're not going to be capable of a lot of like heavy lifting and like cutting down trees and all of that stuff by after like even a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? It's everything is going to take a toll on you. And so you do the physically strenuous stuff first, because if you're still alive after a month, you are going to have like no capacity for exercise unless you have a really good food system in place. But the surprising thing watching the show is that no one had a really good like system for bringing in food on a daily basis. But people built some incredible, I mean, they had saws, you know, so it's not like a true survival scenario that way. But like it still was able to, like, I mean, people built some really great like log cabins. The vast majority of people were just sawing trees down and building like true houses, and then stuffing the cracks with wood, and with mud and moss for like insulation, and building like fireplaces off the side of it. And you're like, this is so cool. This is like the primitive technology side of things. Hurt yourself. Yeah, there we go. Let's go, Breloom. But yeah, it was super cool. Dang it, I missed. Alright, we'll just heal up instead. Well, that didn't do enough for me to be concerned. I'm looking at this and I'm just wondering, what is Regigigas thinking watching this? Like, Regigigas comes out from the earth and releases Regirock, and then just watches me just brutally destroy Regirock like 50 times in a row. It is just like, do I have to be next in line? Dang it. keep missing my dynamic punches. I don't know, maybe they're just legendaries and so they don't care about this sort of thing. I mean, no one's sitting here healing Regirock, but he keeps coming back. Also, if I was going to get a shiny legendary, tonight would be the night, because with basically every other Regi, I've mainly been focused on catching it with some minor like grinding. But this one is no. Oh, I'm gonna save my game. I thought that little shutter right there scared the crap out of me. But this is one where I'm just battling it repeatedly, and you know what? I don't think I could get a shiny. I don't think that's how shinies work. Welcome back, Luigi Vania. I think that if you want to shiny hunt legendaries in this game, you have to save the game before you even spawn the legendary. I think that's how it works. I think that once you enter the battle and it has generated the attributes of the Pokemon, there's nothing like I am fighting the same rock. I could be wrong on that. I think that's how it works. But an easy way to find out would just be to get a shiny Regirock. You know, I'm not tempting the gods with that request. Hey, Pleasant Lemon, welcome back. I saw your comment earlier today that you figured out how to do ledges. I hope that I asked you more information about that. I hope you get some time to respond to it. I totally understand if you don't, but because I would love to know how ledges work in this game. Right now, I just don't do anything with them. Nah, I missed twice in a row. Three? I gave him so much time to increase his defense on that. I guess I should have Mega Drained and healed a bit, but that's okay. Yeah, so Pokemon that you can ride on do jump over ledges. I think that was like one of the intended ways to explore deeper in Island. I think the way that the game generates, it's supposed to be you start on the beach, and as you go farther and farther inland, you get more and more obstacles. But of course you can just dig through ledges, so you don't need to catch a rideable Pokemon to go up into the mountains and to find the volcano. I mean, well, I would just fly anyways, but yeah. Critical hit. Should I? I'm just worried that this is... I'm worried that this is like my last easy way to XP farm, because after this it's going to be Regigigas, and then I'm gonna have to wait for the next update, and I don't think I'm gonna spawn my third island until the next update rolls around, just in case there's third island specific events. I'd hate to have my game already have a third island. Maybe Sheer has a solution to that. I don't know. I'm gonna play it safe and just stick to my two main islands. But I think I'll get to level 60 with Breloom. Missed again. 2 misses in a row. There we go. Dang it. I was really hoping on that confusion. That confusion would go my way. Okay. Well, we have like one more Regirock battle to get to level 60. Is that what it's going to come down to? Maybe 2 more. Speaking of survival scenarios, I've started playing a new game. Not video game, a new board game. Guess I should clarify that. Called Robinson Crusoe. And it's a team-based game where everyone has the same goal. And it's working together to complete that goal. And there's I think there's 7 different scenarios that you can actually play under, so the game will work a little bit different under the different scenarios. But the first scenario in game, I'm gonna save again. The first scenario is just like, all right, you're stuck on this place. You have 15 days to build a fire beacon and light it for a ship to see you and rescue you. And it took 45 minutes just to read through the rules. Before even playing the game, just like first time setup and learning how the game works took frickin' forever. But then you look back on it and you're like, okay, it's not actually that difficult. It's just that it has like a very specific sequence of events for what is supposed to happen in the game. And so you go through the same thing every single time. Yeah, it was very painful, but we're past that, and now we can play the game. And our first playthrough, we got off the island, and it only took us 2 hours. All right, here we go. Here's the play. Dynamic punch, and we miss. Okay, never mind. Yeah, so my game plan was let him get 1 curse in so that I can then dynamic punch him and not insta-kill him, but you can't win everything. Or sometimes you win too well. Alright, let's get Registeel back in there. Nope, not map. Items. Moo Moo Milk. Boom. Alright, here we go. I think Flash Cannon is what is the move that keeps it in the red. There we go. Alright, everything's going according to plan. My one move that I've done, it worked. Alright, here we go. Stun Spore. Fully paralyzed. Yeah, I agree. The sprite work for this game is awesome. And what's crazy is that there's a specific Discord channel just for the artwork, and people are volunteering to do a lot of this. Hey Maxie, welcome to the chat. No, don't increase your stats. I would prefer to catch this within the first 20 Ultra Balls, just that I don't have to grind, you know, 50, 60, 70 Ultra Balls. It's kind of a lot. If Regirock could just really make this convenient for my schedule. Dang it. Oh, we got 2 rocks that time. Man, I need to spend more time in the desert areas. I think the Drapions are what keep me away from it, but I remember when I first went through the desert in this game at night and the cactuses were there, and then they all turned into Cacturn. It's not Cacturn, it's a Cactar. And it was just like sheer panic. Where like the game pauses, right? Cactuses flash, and then they all just start running at you, and it was just like no. All right, fully paralyzed. This is the one, baby. Nope, it was 1 rock and then it was out. Did you, Pleasant Lemon, did you train your Venusaur to have, what, did you put like sleeping powder on it, on its moveset? I need to heal. What is your preferred moveset for Venusaur in this game? All right, Maxie asking if I played Pokemon Platinum. I'm still my run is still ongoing. Once I got this game back, I have not been playing it as much. But I just made it through Iron Island actually, and now I'm going into the Steel type gym. Not too worried about it because of all my. Yes, there we go. Regirock was caught. And how many Pokeballs did that take? Or Ultra Balls? Wait. Dialogue. Oh, this isn't. I thought Regigigas was about to impart some wisdom upon us mortals. Oh, here we go. Simple stones. Such a creation. Each one so unique. But only stones. Even in the head. My work is complete. Oh. Okay, we're not gonna fight you. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, happy to see me? I don't have space for you in my party, I'm sorry. I don't even need to heal. Well, actually, I barely need to heal. I would, by the way, I know, sorry, I'm getting caught up in the game. Jedi Academy is a lot of fun. Your first playthrough, you're gonna feel like you have no idea. Like your first playthrough is gonna be figuring everything out, right? There's a learning curve to figuring out. Like, okay, like here's where you go and here's what you do. But then you keybind force abilities to your keyboard, and suddenly by the end of the game, you just feel like an unstoppable god. So 10 out of 10, I would recommend playing it on a computer though. I mean, I think it's on Switch, but I just imagine that being able to flick around faster with a mouse will always make it a better experience for games like that. Okay, I think my team, I'm going to take all the Regis in and Breloom. I think that's going to move my team when we go after Regigigas. That is going to be the play. I keep forgetting. I need to check how many Ultra Balls that was. 12 Ultra Balls. That is amazing. That is great. One of the other Regis took me like 70. I don't know. Maybe it was Regieleki. I don't know. I'd have to go back and check. Yeah, Sweet Scent Venusaur. Sorry, I'm catching up on chat now. Sweet Scent Venusaur is great. Sleeping Powder. Yeah, I think moves are probably going to get some sort of an update down the road, but who knows what. What would be really cool? What would be really cool for move sets is if it was something that happened in multiplayer, where interacting with other players, they were like a move tutor for your Pokemon. And so it'd be like you'd get this exchange rate where it'd be like you trade stuff to someone and then they can teach a Pokemon one of the moves, like compatible moves that they have on their team. So you need to find someone with a Venusaur that has, or like just do it by egg group, you know? Do it by egg moves, right? Do it, yeah. Just do it how the move tutor does it. But that'd be a fun interaction where it's like, okay, like I need to find someone who I can arrange the stuff with. All right, so we got a question about if there's move sets, if there's an Excel file with all of the move sets for Pokemon. I think there is. I'll double check that. Actually, here. I want there to be the relaxing music. There we go. Okay, relaxing music. I'm going to pull it up right now. Give me a second. Wow, apparently someone's already made a mod for the move sets. I'm amazed that there are people who are already putting together mods for this game. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. If I don't know if you're in the Discord, but there actually is an Excel file for move sets. And synthesis is the last thing Venusaur learns at level 53. That's it, because it's Sweet Scent, Growth, Synthesis, and that's it. So, yeah, okay. I should start looking at the moveset file more, just so I can better understand what my team can cover. Anyways, that's it. We got Regirock, and so next up is Regigigas. But in between this stream and the next stream, I'm going to be continuing my attempts at a Zero Death Jedi Academy run. Super bummed out that I was one-shotted by some fire. I think I'll definitely go farther in the next run. Oh, a craftable radio. Rare drop. Yeah, I'm sorry. It doesn't look like Solar Beam is in the moveset. Just a little disappointing, but that's okay. All right, I'm gonna get going. Sorry to cut off all the conversations going on in chat right now, but I'll catch you all in the next stream. Thanks so much for watching.